morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling, soon to be joined by Anthony Stabile from HRN and my co-host on the show. 30 minutes now to talk about the card, so we're going to have to run through it, unfortunately, quickly. 100% deposit match. Head to Naira Bets to find out more information. Promo code is Big A. First race today, if you bet $10 across the board and your horse loses, I guess that means if it runs out, then you'll get $10 of your $30 investment back. Anthony, you ready to talk about that first race?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. First race today, we'll take a look at, well, we'll start out with your top pick, the number 6, Moondance Joy. I guess she's the horse to beat. I don't love this horse, though. I mean, it's really kind of a two-horse race on paper. One of the 4 or 6 is supposed to win. I guess Moondance Joy is the horse to beat. Claimed, though, for 12.5. Bruce Levine drops for 10. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I thought it was a two-horse race like you did. Took the chalk. Moondance Joy, who, has been on the circuit while Majari has been up in Finger Lakes, disappointing a little bit. She had a couple of races where she was competitive earlier this year, and the 2-race win streak should make her competitive. I thought it was one of these two had to win this race.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Magari winning a race here back in April, and this was a couple days before the meet ended. Actually, back April 18th, got the job done at Aqueduct, and she was over her head at Finger Lakes, and she didn't run horrendously in her subsequent start. She obviously did not run well in her last start. It's been 4 months since then. Come back, and it seems like the Jimmy Barn connection, the entire family, do a pretty good job here. And they had terrific winters here in the past, and I'm going to take the logical second choice in this race. We'll see how much difference there is in price. I preferred Magari. I thought she'd probably be a little bit more forwardly placed in the 6 as well, in a race where the speeds look like Midnight's all right and the 3 Evans nice. Now, neither one of them will I particularly want to endorse.
The 1, 2, 3, and 4 of all won condition claiming races exclusively in their careers. Princess Micaiah, who was eligible for a 3 life, actually won an Open 10. Moondance Joy's won 9 times. That's really pretty much the tiebreaker for me.
It's pretty amazing. Moondance Joy has got 28 times hitting the board in 54 starts, because she doesn't feel to be like that kind of horse.
Half,
I would never have
half
thought
the time
of that.
in the try, right? You never would think
if
that
you
about
didn't think,
her.
you would have thought Moondance Joy's never won as many races as she's actually won, and she has been around for quite a while. Race number 2, maiden claimers going 6 furlongs, and I guess there is a sort of interesting horse in here that we'll talk about in a bit, but. A horse that I think is going to take some money in here that none of us have on the board is Funderella, who lost by a nose last time, and lost to Cairo Queen, who probably should have been about 1-5 in this race. For some reason, they continue to bet that silly horse. I forget that horse's name, that bad turf horse that I admonished you for picking the time before. That horse was like the second choice in here.
I know, I can't remember.
Rob Atras, I think, had claimed it. She ran well, but they're just more interesting horses than Funderella. Fusi, right? There are more interesting horses than Funderella, and both you and I have left this horse off our picks.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. I think there are a couple of more interesting horses. I'm assuming you're alluding to Sanders Empire, who we'll get to in a minute or so.
You took Savvy Cairo.
I did. I took Savvy Cairo. Blinkers on. Trainer change Jeremiah Englehart, who has good numbers, even though he didn't run this horse for the 2 special weight races. Good numbers when they drop. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it in here. Dropping her to the bottom of the claiming ranks for the maidens, trying to get a win under her belt, I would assume. Maybe get her eligible for some of the starters around here. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was...
Yeah, she's also never been on a dry track, for better or for worse, wherever it means. But it is interesting that Jeremiah does not use the sloppy track or the turf. Well, the turf doesn't really matter, and just drops this horse right down to the bottom. She's obviously one of the ones that figures to win. I figured, being that you're friends with Leo Lazzaneri, you'd probably put this one on top. Over Trans-Mississippi, who gets to switch to Robbie Falcone, with John Hurtler retiring, and in case anybody missed it, our good friend John Hurtler retired towards the end of the Belmont meeting, and we hope that John has a wonderful retirement. He certainly deserves it. One of the true good guys in this game. A lot of good people associated with horse racing, none better than John Hurtler. And the truth is, with John, this horse actually ran well first time out and did not run well in the second start at Saratoga, obviously, against much, much better horses. But the first start for this horse is easily good enough to win here, and I just thought, why not just take this horse, getting back to its first start, and win this race?
Yeah, Robbie's had these horses, I want to say, for about 3 weeks now, because he had a horse, John had a horse running the first race the day he retired, which may have been like October 13th. And Jesse Costa, Robbie's assistant.
You wouldn't recommend retiring on the 13th, right? That
No. Robbie took the horses that day after that maiden cooled out. So Robbie has the horses around a month. Yeah, we'll see. Like you said about Savvy Cairo, who's never been on a fast track, this horse has 2 fast track races. The first one was good. I don't know what happened the second time, but after that it was turf and drop, so I just went to the 7.
They're the two main horses, but I think you want to use Sanders Empire a little bit in here. This is a horse that the entire world seemed to have gotten aboard with, and that include the two idiots sitting up here. 2 starts back when she was ridiculous 5-1, and you're supposed to pick her 15-1, not 5-1, and she didn't run. But it was a sloppy sealed track. Then she went over the Meadowlands where she was wide, going a route in the turf. She's not a turf router. You wanted to be inside the Meadowlands anyway on their turf course while they raced those few days. So Sanders Empire is finally getting a chance in a dry dirt track, and I think you want to throw that horse in at least your big 5 somewhere.
No question about it.
At a big price.
Yep.
Race number 3. Race number 3 is a trickier race, and I want to start the conversation. You've got Variant Perception 4th. I think that's a bit of a mistake. I want to show a race where Conforto finished 2nd and Variant Perception finished 4th. I know Variant Perception is not exactly a bullet early, but with all due respect, he kind of got lost in the early stages of this race. And it's a miracle, frankly, that he finished 4th, beaten under 4 lengths, given the position he had and the dynamics of this race. Conforto did hang like a chandelier. Variant Perception probably was the best horse in this race and really never had a fair chance. Michelle Nevin has horrifically bad numbers off the claim. She's 2 for 30 overall, winning with 2 sprinters, and she's 0 for 16 with 4 hitting the board off of the claim. It really is a bit of a concern in here. 10 of those 16 horses, by the way, were 5-1 or less.
Wow.
But I don't want to be just dismissive of this horse because he can definitely win this race. But one of the concerns of this race is there's a complete lack of pace, which means they'll probably be blazing up front.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's part of the reason I leaned with Inscom and part of the reason I was a little wary of Variant Perception.
Doesn't John Velasquez have to have Variant Perception a little bit closer? I mean, he has been closer in his races. He doesn't have to be as far back as he was in Belmont. And given the lack of pace, I think you're going to see Johnny get this horse at least relatively close.
Yeah, that race at Monmouth, which you can argue was the second place finish to King of Spades, who was shrieking at the time.
He'll win. He runs that race. He'll win this race for
He'll
fun.
win that race.
I don't care what the pace is.
And you would imagine that if he runs back to that race, he'll be right on top of the pace because this doesn't look to be a very fast pace. And
But Inscome's supposed to be in front. Junior's supposed to put Inscombe in the lead here.
Yeah, he's supposed to put Inscombe on the lead. I would imagine Luis Saez is going to try to get a little aggressive with playing hooky. Not because he's faster than these horses, but this horse's best race was when he was on the front
I think he's
end.
probably a horse that'll be sitting second or
He'll
third
be the
here.
horse that'll be sitting second.
Well, I think Snake Oil Charlie. You're dismissing a horse that you just think has no chance that could actually be in front of this race.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're not wrong about that.
And you have to imagine that Hemanarchy probably will send him.
Yeah.
And in reality, that will help Variant Perception. Because if a horse that can't win goes to the front, it's going to help the closers.
Especially if he sets, if Snake Oil Charlie leaves out of there as an aggressor, you'd have to imagine he's not going to be setting a slow pace.
Well, I don't know. I don't agree with you. I don't think you have to be aggressive and necessarily set a fast pace, but you and I disagree about paces in general for a lot of reasons. I don't think they're going to be moving that much, but I don't think Variant Perception is going to be dramatically hurt. But like you, I think Inscome's going to be helped. We'll take a look at Inscombe winning 2 races back when he stalked and he won. And I don't love the fields he ran with, and I didn't think he ran particularly well last time out. But Clyde's Runner, Lahara, better horses, but he finished behind Bourbon in May, a horse that he beat in this race.
Yeah, this was a weird race for him. It was almost like...
He knew you didn't like him at all this day, and he wanted to show you how dumb you were. You didn't take this personally?
It was almost like, I don't know.
Almost like what?
The last time it was almost like he regressed a little bit, but the number doesn't really belie that.
I agree. But I think in turf racing, you have to be careful with numbers. I think he's logical. Coral Legacy, he fits on numbers. The number 6, I just thought he'd be a very, very weak field, and this is a much tougher race. He's going to take monies off a win. Croc Monsieur is a new name. I was not impressed with the horses he beat last time. The second horse, a $12,000 claimer. It was a non-winners of 2 lifetime conditional race. I thought it was just an extremely weak race at the Meadowlands. And he wasn't right on the rail, but he was too wide the whole way around.
I don't disagree with that, but I think if you toss the middle race, the mile and 3/16 race, which just seemed a little bit out of his scope, the 2 mile and a 16th races are okay. He showed improvement in both of them, and if he takes a step forward, I think he can get a piece in
I
there.
think a big step forward, in my opinion. You've got Appealing Brief second. I've got him 4th. I know he's good enough, but he doesn't win, and he doesn't have a great post, and he's a horse that could get a particularly mediocre trip in here with that post and the lack of pace in here.
Well, I think his pilot will help negate some of that.
Yes, he's good, but I don't know what Irad can do with him to negate it.
I think when the gate opens, he could just drop over and save some ground. And
but then he's going to find himself making a run from the back and pace his race.
Yeah, he's up against it.
And he's giving up so much to Variant Perception, who's actually a better horse than him. Tough for him to beat Variant Perception unless Variant Perception completely fails to show up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. He's also been running against a little bit better. I just wanted to give him a benefit of the doubt with Irad trying to work out a trip, but he may be up against it today.
It just feels like he really is. Race number 4. I thought race number 4 was a very interesting race. Linda Rice has 2 runners in here, and in my opinion, the 3 First Deputy is the horse to beat in this race. We'll take a look at his last race. I like the field he's coming out of. You could argue he kind of moved too soon. Not that Jose did anything wrong, but in the manner in which the race was run, the move hurt him. But now Linda's stretching him out to a mile. So I don't think Linda feels as though the mile's supposed to be a problem for this horse. The question with him really is whether or not he's ultimately good enough. He's had 3 chances. I don't like when Linda's horses start piling up chances, but I have no real problem with this horse. I think his stat, Linda's stretching out with dirt with maidens. This is remarkable.
You put this stat up about a week and a half ago, right before we left Belmont Park.
Well, no, those were second-time starters. But anyway, these are overall. These aren't just second-time starters. These are all of them. That's a remarkable stat.
It is.
Also,
and this horse figures to be on the lead today, I would think. No? The blinkers going on, coming out of the series.
You would think that this horse
races.
is supposed to be in front. I imagine
Not a
Jose
lot of
plans to be
speed.
aggressive.
I guess True Grace will be, Rosario will be, Joel will be aggressive from the outside draw and maybe be sitting second to this horse. But you'd have to think this horse, if he wants to lead, is going to get it.
Well, he is faster than these horses early. Now, Linda's other horse that I have on top, and you have second here, Cold Hard Cash, will show a slight derivation of that stat, which is actually pretty much the same, but with her second start stretching out, she also does equally well with a slightly better ROI. That's the stat you were talking about, but she's just good with those things. Now, with Cold Hard Cash, you're dealing with a horse that obviously ran worse than pretty much anybody in this race. But it's a Linda Rice second-time starter, and watching the first race, I don't think this horse liked the mud. This horse was turning his head. He was going 7 furlongs early in his career. Now he's had 3+ months. And I thought Cold Hard Cash would be a much bigger price, and I took a shot with this one on top of the second-time Linda Rice angle.
Ordinarily, I do not let this bother me. But the only 3 workouts since this horse debuted back in July. 1 in August, 1 in September, 10 days apart, and then 1 in October, 7 weeks after the prior workout in September.
But you've got the horse second.
I do, because I respect Linda and everything you said. This horse did not look like he appreciated the mud one bit first time out. And, I'm addicted to the second time Linda Rice. And I think this horse, in a race, David has this horse longest shot on the board.
Well, I think he's right.
I do too. And I think if you play that angle most of the winter long like I do, and you take 2-1 and 5-2, you almost have to include this horse at 6-1.
I think there's a lot of horses here, including your top choice, who I don't particularly love. We'll take a look at True Grace. My problem with True Grace is, Anthony, you're taking a horse that was in an off-the-turf race and still didn't get it done. Now, I like the winner a little this day. The horse was kind of an interesting new face in there and ran fine. The horse draws outside. I thought others were probably going to be better than this horse today, but obviously he can win this race.
Yeah, he can win this race. He's supposed to be sitting a good trip on or close to the lead. If First Deputy goes, he figures to be sitting second. If for some reason First Deputy doesn't go, this horse might find himself on an easy lead today. And I just wanted the horses that were forwardly placed with a little mix of the second time Linda.
Well, I want to talk about both Forever Wicked and Tapazirance, because Forever Wicked managed to finish ahead of Tapazirance, who was a very strange favorite last time out. The reality was, though, that was a track that was extremely kind to inside runners. And Forever Wicked made an inside move, moved to the 2-path, and then back to the rail in the stretch, while Tapazirance, who was on the rail early, but Irad went out the 2-path early in the turn, then 4 wide about 3/4 of the way through the turn and continued on running the stretch. And I think the Tapazirance close was dramatically muted by the fact that he moved in the far outside. And the reality is that I think he ran much better than the number 2 horse, Forever Wicked. And we saw Gary Cadessa break the bad run, have a nice win here at 30-1. And Tapazirance, I actually think, is very, very dangerous here, because I think at the end of the day, he wasn't going to beat Prince of Pharaohs, but Prince of Pharaohs was right on the rail that day. He made the wide move, and his performance, I think, is a lot better than it looks. And this might be a horse in a fair situation that could run a Beyer figure of 70, which might make him tough to beat in this field. I would not completely dismiss Tapazirans.
Listen, he was the famous fifth pick. I could use a little something to tell you as well.
Mike Beer likes this horse today. Why do you? I thought this horse did absolutely no running whatsoever first time out.
Second time, stretching out. Dean Henry was
6.5 to a mile.
Was turf, right? Dean Henry, was that the Goichman turf horse?
Yeah, I'm not sure it wasn't turf ender. I'm not sure. I was trying to remember that myself.
Was that Tommy Albatrani, maybe?
May have been. I didn't think this horse did any running whatsoever first time out, though.
Maybe. Listen, to stretch out, sometimes it helps, these horses that aren't particularly fast. Talked about this last week, right? The horses that sprint that aren't particularly fast, the distance is their friend. So maybe that's the case in here.
Race number 5, going 6 furlongs on the turf. It's another interesting race. Queen Kahan will be one of the favorites down on the inside and finished second to Berwickler last time. Now, I think Quinn is going to benefit from cutting back in distance. Overall, I think that she has met much weaker fields in her turf races. I actually think Dancing with Daffodils may have run a better race than her when she finished third behind her in her 6 furlong race 2 back. I thought she could win. I preferred others.
Yeah, I thought she could win too. I put a second in here. I'm curious to see how aggressive Manny Franco is from the inside, because I know this filly was on the lead last time, but they went very tepid. They were tepid as can be on the front end, those fractions. She's got horses directly to her outside and Smokin' Deb and Bean Counter who have set faster paces. So, but maybe it helps Queen Cahen. Maybe she gets a couple of targets and can settle off those horses. I don't know.
So what do you like about Nan's plan?
First time Danny Gargan.
Well, from a trainer that's winning at 31%, so you're not.
Yeah, first time Danny coming up.
But don't you think it should be notable? He's getting from a trainer that's winning with almost a third of her starters.
Yeah, but he had the filly in Saratoga.
Yeah, I get it from her too, and she ran back to her races. Well, this horse would need to improve in the grass, and the dams produced 5 horses that tried the turf. The dam tried the turf 5 times. She didn't win. This is her first fall. And the second dam did win the turf, but she's not much of a producer.
Well,
you're just guessing first time bargain.
I'm taking a little bit of a guess.
Is there a tip on this horse?
No. I'm just taking a little bit of a guess.
That you know
of? I don't have a tip on the horse.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
I thought Smokin' Deb was the logical horse in this race. We'll take a look at her finishing third last time. And I'm going to say better horses. I know Beaux-Arts actually finally won a race in her next start. She has run well in the Derby. In New Jersey, they were kicking up that turf course pretty good, actually, watching those races. I thought Smokin' Deb, she didn't finish it off, but I thought she may have lost to better horses. Jonathan Thomas's horses have really come alive in New York over the last month or something, after being very, very cold during the year, at least running in New York. And I just thought this was a logical horse with Javier.
Yeah. This was not one of those races where I wanted to really lean on anyone too heavily. I wanted a little bit of a spread in here.
Yeah, I think Bean Counter will be one that people will use. I don't like Bean Counter. I thought having fourth like you. Thought she beat up on a weaker field. I mean, Shannon's Girl's not really very good, and she beat her. What about Tipple? I wanted to look at the horses that come out of the race. Tipple, Dancing with Daffodils, and Overheated, and make some comments on them. I thought Overheated looks on paper like she ran well. I did not think she did. I thought she got a great ride by Joelle and just wasn't good enough. I think the horse you want out of this race is Dancing with Daffodils. I like Jose getting back aboard. Rode 3 back when she was behind Queen Cahen. I mean, in this race, she was like 3, 4, 5 wide, making a big wide run. Race was dominated more. Tipple makes that move on the inside. I thought Tipple got a very good ride and nice trip from Eric Cancel in there. I thought Dancing with Daffodils ran a better race. The time before that, this was 2 back. Last time out, she absolutely should have been second in there. Little Faith came up the rail. The winner angled out. She was wide the whole way. And if Dancing with Daffodils, it's not easy. She's got post 11. Jose's got to find a way to work out a trip. But if she can work out a trip, she can win here. The thing is, she keeps running so often. I'm a little worried coming back. Most of these horses have had more time. I didn't like Tipple.
I didn't like Tipple, and that was the thing that bugged me the most. I'll have Dancing with Daffodils as a C, I guess, because the amount of time she's run. She won that race earlier this year, and you almost feel like if some of the other fillies had that form, it would have been 3 starts back. It's like 9 starts back at this point. So it's an awful lot of running.
But she does keep holding her form.
She does.
She does keep holding her form.
So no question about that.
That's one thing that's clear. Race number 6 is an odd race because there's not really a lot of form to go on. Now, Anthony's going to continue to pick the number 11 in this race, Quiet Dignity, because he likes, and I did pick her second, But now they're going to try a mile and 3/8. Are you willing to admit, though, what I've been telling you all along? She's just not very good.
They're just trying to figure out what to do. I'm kind of pot committed at this point to take her one more time on the stretch out. Divorce papers are drawn up and ready to be sent in if she does not run well today. With that said, I don't think this is the toughest bunch she's going to find to try this mile and 3/8 distance. And like you, I absolutely think Fancy That's the horse to beat, but the filly to beat, but I'll take one more chance with a horse that I've picked the first 3 times here.
Right. Now, we don't have a lot of time anymore, so we're going to get through this, at least try to get through the card today. I don't know. We'll do the best we can. I thought Fancy That. We'll take a look at Fancy That, finishing second last time out. At the end of the day, I know she's the favorite in here. She's consistently run well. I think her turf races have both been good. She finished well ahead of your horse when she ran on the turf in her race 2 races back at Saratoga. I know the pace was slow. She was on top of the slow pace. She seems like a grinder, though, that'll just keep running along. Mile and 3/8 today. I don't see why it should be a problem. It's funny, given her dam, Sarah Louise, who was really a sprinter, and she actually was the last horse to beat Rachel Alexander until Rachel Alexander was 4 years old when she beat her as a 2-year-old. But she just keeps grinding along, and I just thought she might be the right horse in here, as opposed to horses like Tass, who, I mean, I guess Tass needs to improve to win. I think it needs to be remembered with Tass, and you've got her 4th, that Tass won a race last time where the actual speed in the race was scratched in the post parade, and it enabled her to just fall in the lead and absolutely walk on the front end. She's going to probably try to be speed again today. We'll see how much pressure she gets early. Betty F's not going to run, so she's probably loose again. But Fancy That's supposed to be sitting pretty much right behind her, right?
Would you be surprised if Jose was aggressive and put Fancy That on the lead today? If the
Yes, I'd be absolutely shocked if she was in front.
I wouldn't be.
I'd be shocked if she was in front. Maybe the one falls down at the start. I don't know. That's always possible. But no, I don't see how she's in front of that one. But regardless, I mean, the only thing you say with Tass is maybe Tass is an improving horse.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, there was big improvement between her prior 2 starts and then from the second and third starts back and last time and the time before that. Yeah, maybe she's just getting good at the right time.
Number 6, what does the Shark say? I just think this is a much tougher field than the field she beat, but maybe she takes a step forward. You know, she is relatively lightly raced, but I thought she found it.
She was kind of the only one that really wanted that mile and a quarter last time, and she got it.
Race number 7. We'll take a look at New Girl in Town, who's actually the new shooter in here. She was not entered. This was one of the bring-back races from the closing day card that was at Belmont. And she ran down Cash Offer this day. Is Cash Offer going to appreciate getting back 6 furlongs? I think you have her on top.
I do. Cash Offer gets back to the 6 furlongs. More importantly, last time with Cash Offer it was just a 3-week break. Now you see more of a gap between the starts, 6 weeks. She gets to go back to the 6 furlongs. She's inside speed, and I think they have her to catch. If I'm leaning in the late pick 5 today, this is where I'm leaning.
Really?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
She's
okay. I don't trust her.
I felt at 6, she has a little bit of an edge on Spring Drama and Wadadley Princess.
Well, Spring Drama is 2 sort of different horses, except they're coming off layoffs. I don't think Spring Drama's beaten any killers. I wasn't a big fan of hers. You picked her second, huh?
I did, yeah. She's just consistent on dirt. I'm a
Consistently slow?
Yeah, I'm a Wadadley Princess fan, but I think 6 furlongs might be, against some.
Pat Kelly had that winner the other day here, a big priced winner.
I picked that filly in Saratoga 3 races.
I'm a fan of Wadadley Princess.
I know you are. And Hayfield, I just think Hayfield's been, underachieving the last year or so.
Well, I don't know. We'll take a look at a race of Hayfield's last race at Saratoga. She finished second. The problem with Hayfield is, I guess you're right. She keeps finishing second, and she's been short prices in all these races. And you don't like to look and see 7 starts this year with 4 seconds, especially a horse that was the opposite. Her prior, she was 5
Love to win
starts.
Yep.
So I don't disagree with that. That's a fair notion. She has run well in these races. I don't know where Forever Change came with that effort. I think she went up to Finger Lakes and won her next start. She came up the rail. She has run very well. The Kept True race, I thought she ran well. Kept True would be the horse to beat in this race if she were in here. Her race against Sue's Fortune, she had a trip that day when she lost by a nose. She actually ran very well. She was much the best that day with a slow pace and a bad break. She didn't have really an excuse 3 back. I agree. She's not winning. I think you've gone a little overboard with her. I think you didn't have her on the board last time. Now you've got her 4th. Anyway, I'm going to use her, but I'm going to bet one more time on Sunshine Gal in this race. I have to give Sunshine Gal another chance. No doubt, I've given her a lot of chances. And to be fair, I liked her more when she was entered at Belmont because she drew an outside post. And now she's more towards the inside. And I'm going to implore Louis Reyes and the connections, don't bury this horse inside. She has been
Let her roll
got
outside.
herself in trouble. We'll just get her out in the clear. Don't tuck in behind horses and have to go around and steady early behind horses. Because if you go through her races, one after the others, bumped brake taken up. She's had nothing but excuses in her dirt races because she keeps them. Look at her posts. Post 2, post 3, post 3, post 2. She's always getting jammed up inside. Get her to the outside so she can make her clear run without being encumbered. She has never had a chance to do that. And I do think she was subtly improved. She's a little on the slower side, but she's also a big price.
Yeah. Listen, the Chad filly that you break my chops about taking, I could do that here. The difference is my horse is going to be 2-1, yours is going to be 12-1.
Yeah. And my horse actually has had excuses. Chad's horse has had zero excuses. Yeah. That's the 11 furlong turf race. Thought today's 8th race, which I think will be the last race we'll get a chance to talk about in today's card, is a fascinating race. And I think there's a lot going on in here. You and I have very different opinions here.
Wow.
Talk about Jen Emily. Well, I know you wouldn't have my horse, but...
She ran once on the turf going the mile up at Saratoga around the 2 turns, and she's just, I think she's better sprinting, yet the turf race was her fastest race. I think she's better sprinting. I think she finds her right surface today, and she gets to cut back to a turf sprint. She's going to be a good price as well. She'll be forwardly placed. I think there's a lot to like about her.
No, I think she's not impossible. I agree with everything you said. I mean, it is odd because she actually did run pretty well that day, and she does appear to be a horse that at least, she's never run long on the dirt.
Right.
And now she's coming back to a sprint. I don't know that she's good enough, but I don't disagree. I think she's a little bit interesting in there. O'Malley, who you have second, who I have 5th in here, O'Malley's going to get bet, and we'll show O'Malley beating Tipple last time. I know it's Jason Service, and you get beaten by Jason Service at your own peril. I don't see how this horse can win here. I don't see a scenario where she's good enough to win. I think that you'll agree with me. You didn't like Tipple at all. Why would you like this horse against a much tougher field than Tipple is running in at a relatively short price? And I agree with you. I don't particularly like Tipple either. I mean, she's being Dancing with Daffodils, who actually ran a better race than her. Would you like Dancing with Daffodils in this race?
No. I want a spread, and I'm not letting Jason Service beat me.
I understand.
Maybe I shouldn't have her as high
I don't think
as
she'll
I do.
be 5-1. See, I think Jason Service, she has to have a win. She has to be shorter.
Oh, maybe.
I think she's terrible value.
Maybe you're right. Maybe. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I think it's hard. With the 2 favorites being MTOs, I think it's really hard to make a line for this race.
Oh, I'm not. Believe me,
David's
doing tremendous job on these. And they've been tough lines. Have been great. I do agree with him. The horse we'll look at here, Sarah Treasure, is going to be favored.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I have no knock on her. The truth is, she's been running against some better horses. Mm-hmm. Yes, she got a good setup 2 back, but she ran. Okay, last time out, the pace kind of fell apart in the late stages. She probably should have been outrun by Zalia. But she was wide and the others weren't. I think she's fine.
I do too.
I don't have a knock on her. I've got her in the play. I've got her second. I wouldn't make a play without her. I don't mind trying to beat her. But she didn't finish up here. She didn't have that punch.
She didn't kick home. You're
she
right.
needs more of a pace to get that. And that turned out to more of a grind for her. We'll see. I mean, I have no...
Maybe she gets that cutting back to 6 furlongs. I don't know.
Right. Coming back, in a little under 4 months. Zip Drive's going to take money. I'm not sure what to do with Zip Drive in here, the 2, because her better race was at a mile, but she broke her maiden going 5.5 furlongs. And now she cuts back. I've got her in there, but I don't know. Who was scratched? Oh, Science Fiction scratched here. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's new. Okay.
Okay, so I do have the 5/4 in here. I like Finnabar? Finnabar?
I believe so.
Finnabar's a horse that when you first look at the 3 Finnabar, and she's 31 morning line, she looks ridiculous. But what if you throw out her last 4 races, which were an off-the-turf race and they were route races, and then you look at her first 3 races? The maiden race she won, Little Skiff ran a 54 there, ran a 78 buyer prior to that, a 67 and 78 in subsequent races. Or maybe I'm looking at the wrong horse. That's the right horse, Little Skiff. I think you look at that race and you look at other horses in there, her maiden win is actually a much better race than that lower figure suggests. So then you start looking a little bit more and you look at the race where she got beaten 5.5 lengths in the Karama race. There's somebody else in this field that comes out of that race, right? Tide Storm, who's 14-1. Look at Tide Storm's next effort. the number 10 horse, how much better she ran. Now, that
Yeah.
was 7.5 furlongs around 2 turns. But that field, Karama actually wired the field, and I thought that Finbar did a little bit of running in there. I think she's dramatically underexposed. She is clearly, in my opinion, a better horse running shorter distances. I don't even think her figures are that bad going longer. I mean, she finished third to Ferdinanda, who's pretty good. I thought she made some sense in here at a price. In a race that's wide open, I'm not saying she's likely to win. I believe that Finbar will outrun her odds.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with anybody in this race. It's a tough race.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on here. We have no more time, so we can't talk about it. You can get our picks on the website. I guess the 8's the horse to beat in the last race, King's Honor.
That's what I
like
went.
to
8,
talk about
I went
it.
8-6, 1-7.
Yeah, I picked the 2 in the last race. I think that King's Honor is the horse to beat with a scratch. But Rap Store Rocks, I don't mind giving that horse another chance off that debut. Might have watched the debut that Rap Store Rocks before you completely dismiss him. Thanks, Anthony. Johnny I up with the scratches and changes.
Hello once again, racing fans, and welcome to Aqueduct.